All right, so we're back for another complete aviation solutions deep dive. This is number 27. And today, we're going to be talking about Virgin Australia,
Sounds good.
specifically their new partnership with Qatar Airways, and what this means for their potential return to the ASX.
Yeah, this is a big one. Definitely a big development in the world of aviation.
So let's just jump right into it, shall we?
Just do it.
Okay. So to start, Virgin Australia will be wet leasing wide-body aircraft from Qatar Airways for flights to Doha and onward.
For those who might not know, a wet lease is essentially renting an aircraft.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. It includes the crew and everything.
Yeah, operational support all bundled in.
So it's a faster way for them to kind of like re-enter the long-haul market. Yeah.
Exactly. Without having to shell out a ton of cash to buy and staff their own planes right away.
Right. And it looks like this could be setting the stage for their return to the ASX, the Australian Securities Exchange.
Yep, so Virgin Australia could become a publicly traded company again.
And CEO Jane Hardlicka has said they're ready for this.
Yeah, but ultimately it's up to Bain Capital.
Right,
Yeah.
because they own Virgin Australia.
Exactly.
Now, one really interesting aspect of this partnership is how it's going to affect the competition between Virgin Australia and, well, their rival, Qantas,
Yeah, because Qantas has really dominated international travel
especially to Europe.
through their partnership with Emirates.
Right. But now Virgin Australia has Qatar Airways in their corner. It seems like they might be ready to, like, challenge Qantas's hold on that market.
Could be a really interesting battle to watch.
Yeah. So Virgin Australia is not wasting any time, by the way. They've already started selling tickets for flights to Doha starting in June.
Oh, wow.
And both airlines have been offering some pretty big discounts to Europe.
Interesting.
Maybe there's like a price war brewing.
Potentially, yeah. Definitely a good time to travel if you can.
Definitely, yeah. Now, it wasn't all smooth sailing for Virgin Australia. The Australian government did approve the deal,
Mm-hmm.
but it came with some conditions. They want Virgin Australia to start consulting with unions to transition to a dry lease arrangement.
Oh, so they'll need to employ their own crew eventually.
Yep, Australian-based crew for those long-haul flights. And this transition needs to happen within 3 years.
Okay, so it's a phased approach. Got it.
Yeah, they have some time.
Makes sense.
And in addition to that, the deal also includes a second payment program. So they'll send some pilots and cabin crew to Doha in 2025 for some experience.
I see. So kind of like an apprenticeship?
Exactly. They'll be working with a world-class airline, gaining experience that they can then bring back to Virgin Australia.
That's a smart move.
Yeah. So lots going on with Virgin Australia, lots of challenges, but also a ton of opportunities.
Definitely a lot to unpack here.
Yeah. So we've got a potential price war,
Yeah.
a leadership change coming up,
Mm-hmm.
this whole transition to a dry lease, and of course, that possibility of a return to the ASX. Virgin Australia is really at a crossroads right now. This partnership with Qatar Airways could really be a game changer for them. But there are definitely some risks, too.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
The stakes are definitely high, and the decisions made over the next few months are going to really shape the future of the airline.
For sure. It's a really fascinating situation, and we're going to keep following it closely, of course.
Exactly. We'll be here to break it all down for you as it develops.
Get tuned.
But you know what? While increased competition can be great for us passengers, it can also have some downsides.
Oh, absolutely. It's not all rosy.
Like, could it lead to fewer choices?
Yeah.
Fewer routes, or maybe even smaller airlines getting pushed out?
Yeah, that's a real concern. I mean,
Yeah.
smaller airlines often struggle to compete with these giants. Like, we could see some mergers or even airlines going out of business altogether.
Yeah, so maybe in the short term, we get those great deals.
Mm-hmm.
But long term, who knows? Things could change.
Yeah, the aviation landscape could look very different in a few years. And another thing to think about is this whole wet lease thing.
Yeah.
Virgin and Qatar, they have different cultures, different ways of doing things.
Oh, yeah.
That could lead to, clashes. Like, imagine the potential for miscommunication or even just different standards of service for passengers.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's going to be really important for Virgin Australia to manage this transition carefully.
Yeah.
Make sure everyone is on the same page. Otherwise, it could really impact the passenger experience.
So let's talk about the dry lease transition.
Mm.
It seems like the government is taking this phased approach, right?
Yeah, they're not pushing Virgin to jump in head first.
Right. Why do you think that is? Why not just go straight to a dry lease?
Well, it gives Virgin Australia some breathing room. They have time to recruit, train their own crew, get the planes they need.
Oh, so it's about building up their capacity.
Exactly. And it also gives them a chance to learn from Qatar. see how they operate a successful long-haul operation.
So they can learn the ropes, so to speak.
Exactly. And of course, there's the financial aspect too.
Oh, right.
Wet leasing is less expensive upfront.
Okay, so they're kind of mitigating their risk by spreading out the cost.
Exactly.
Now, we can't forget about the potential ASX listing.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And Jane Herdlicka is leaving.
Right, right.
Do you think her departure will make finding a replacement even harder?
Well, yeah, it adds another layer of complexity to an already, intricate situation.
Yeah, it's not just about managing this transition.
Yeah.
It's also about potentially leading the company through an ASX listing.
Exactly. They need someone who can juggle both.
Right.
Someone with strong operational skills, but also financial and regulatory expertise. It's a tall order.
I mean, this sounds like they need a superhero.
Yeah, pretty much. Someone who can do it all and do it well.
Yeah, especially with Qantas breathing down their neck.
Right, that adds a whole other dimension to this. I mean, how do you see this rivalry playing out?
Right, what's Qantas going to do?
I mean, they've dominated the market for so long, but this deal, it gives Virgin a real shot at competing.
So what's their next move? Will we see more price wars?
Yeah.
Maybe they'll try to find a new partner?
Yeah, they could go that route. Or they could just get more aggressive with their own offerings. More new routes, better service. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. And for us travelers, this could be good news.
Yeah, potentially.
Lower prices, more options.
Right.
But there are risks too,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Like what?
Well, for one, this focus on competition, it could lead to a decline in service.
Oh, you mean like airlines cutting corners to offer the cheapest fares?
Exactly. They might skimp on comfort, amenities, maybe even safety to keep costs down.
Ooh, yeah, we don't want that.
No, definitely not. And then there's the potential for reduced flight frequencies, especially to less popular destinations.
Oh, right, because they'd be focusing on the more profitable routes.
Exactly. So while you might snag a great deal to London or Paris, it might be harder to find a flight to, say, a smaller city in Europe.
Yeah, good point. So it's a mixed bag, really.
Yeah, it's a complex situation with potential benefits and risks for both airlines and passengers.
It seems like the Australian aviation landscape is getting more complicated by the day.
Yeah, lots of moving pieces. To really understand it all, we need to look at the bigger picture.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit.
Mm.
How does this partnership fit into the Australian economy as a whole? Okay, so the specifics. Let's go back to those.
Right, so this partnership, it's a wet lease agreement.
Right.
So Virgin Australia, they're leasing those aircraft from Qatar,
Okay.
plus they're getting the crew and all the operational stuff too.
Okay, so it's like they're renting a fully furnished place instead of buying.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah, so they can just like move right in and start offering those flights.
Exactly. And another big thing, they also get access to Qatar Airways' whole network.
Oh, right.
So passengers can easily connect to all sorts of places.
Europe, the Middle East.
Yep. All that.
So it's more than just the planes,
Oh, yeah, way more. They're getting a whole system, a whole support network.
and that helps them get back into long haul much faster.
For sure. But, we got to remember those conditions from the Australian government.
Right, the dry lease thing.
Yeah, that's important. Eventually, they'll need to use their own Australian crew.
Within 3 years?
Exactly. It's like this gradual handover,
Yeah, they get to learn from the best first,
Mm-hmm.
and then they take over.
Yep. And remember that second development program we talked about?
Yeah, the training in Doha.
That's going to help a lot with that transition.
20 pilots and 40 crew members.
It's a big investment in their people. Gives them the skills they need for long haul.
Okay, so we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
Partnership, ASX listing, leadership change, the whole Qantas rivalry. It's a lot.
It is.
So if there's one thing you want our listeners to take away from this, what would it be?
I think it's that, the Australian aviation industry is changing big time. And this whole deal, this Virgin Qatar thing, it's a big part of that change. It's going to impact, everything.
And it's all happening now.
Yeah, it's a really dynamic time. So, watch this space.
Keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah. And, don't just take our word for it. Do your own research, explore these ideas. It's fascinating stuff.
Couldn't agree more. Well, on that note, thanks for joining us for another Complete Aviation Solutions Deep Dive.
It's been fun.
And until next time, happy flying, everyone.